As runners, we all challenge ourselves in ways we never thought possible, pushing the boundaries of what we're capable of to smash through targets and set ourselves new, bigger and better ones.
This awesome hobby that we share gives us one thing in common, and it brings us together as a community. Whether you're working towards completing your first parkrun or you're a veteran of the sport who's run 100 ultra marathons, we all know the feeling of reaching that maxed out effort and our own red line.
Welcome to our podcast, where your hosts Brett Elsmore and Andy Maguire discuss the struggles, the successes and everything in between on our running journeys, as we all work towards the next time we're running the red line. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of Running the Red Line. We are back for yet another week. I am Brett and I am here as always with my co-host Andy. How are you doing this week, mate?
I'm all right. It's you could say I've had a good Friday today.
Oh,
because it's Easter and most of us who've got a bit of time off have been living the bank holiday lifestyle. So it's been all right. Not been too bad. It's middle of peak week for me, so still been getting the miles in. But
good.
It's a nice weekend because as I said, Easter weekend, so chocolate heaven.
Yes,
and that
yes.
Reminds me, I might as well mention this. Your end of the podcast quiz is Easter themed.
Oh, excellent.
So we'll test your Easter knowledge.
Excellent. Right. Okay. My Good Friday has been full of video editing and cleaning out the ice bath, because those things just standing still, the water, it's not the nicest after a while. So they need constant cleaning out.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But
do you celebrate? Like, do you eat chocolate? Do you eat a lot of Easter eggs and stuff at Easter, or do you not bother?
I eat a lot of chocolate all the time.
The reason I ask is because I've got to the age now where I just don't. Maybe I'm just a grumpy Grinch, but I don't really give Easter eggs out. But I went to buy one the other day. Mate, they're so expensive. They're not like £2 anymore, are they?
Nope.
What is going on? Some of them are like £15, especially when I like my local petrol garage. There's some of the Lindt ones and stuff. They're ridiculous. Like, it's an absolute mockery of a sham. I can't believe it. Sorry. So, are you a big Easter egg eater?
To be honest, we, like as a family, where we don't really get Easter eggs, we tend to just buy normal chocolate for each other, rather than eggs, because you don't get as much for your money. And it's always better to wait until after Easter and just go in the sales and get twice as much for the same price. So I do like a bit of chocolate, but we don't tend to have Easter eggs as such. But,
I think we'll probably have one between me and Laura, and that'll probably be it. But I think it's different if you're a family. If you've got like kids and stuff, it's probably like Christmas Day for them, isn't it? Like getting all the I remember Easter for us when I was a kid. Yeah, we used to get about 3 or 4 or 5 or more eggs. And you'd be like, as a parent, you're probably like, well, as long as they're quiet, we're happy.
Yeah.
They're probably just eating about 53 Easter eggs. But,
the best thing with an Easter egg is a Cadbury's Easter egg, the hollow ones. Half an Easter egg with a couple of scoops of ice cream in. That's the best thing.
Oh, interesting. No, I've never done that.
Use it as a Easter egg bowl, so you can eat the bowl as well afterwards.
Well, this is going to expose me as a idiot, really. But I don't eat ice cream because it's too cold. I've got sensitive teeth, and honestly, It gives me brain freeze. Like I don't mind the taste of ice cream, but I just don't eat it. I just find it too cold. I just can't get on with it. Milkshakes are the same. I know, like,
Oh wow.
they're not as bad, but no, I'm just not a big ice cream eater. Like on a summer's day, it could be 54 degrees, and I would be like, no, I'm not having one. Too
Oh
cold.
man. No. Well, do you know pizza is my savoury downfall? Ice cream is my sweet downfall.
Is
If
it?
I try not to buy ice cream because I know if it's in the freezer, it's not lasting more than a night.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we went to Disney last year, I went with my sister and brother-in-law and their kids, and we went to the ice cream shop in Magical Kingdom, and everyone had an ice cream. So I finished mine, and all the kids couldn't eat theirs, so I ate all theirs as well. And then my sister couldn't eat hers, so I ate hers as well.
Fair play.
If it was going, I was going to eat it. I wasn't going to let it go to waste.
So
yeah.
here's a big question then for the podcast: sweet or savoury? You've got to only choose one. What you choosing? For the rest of your life, you can only eat sweet or savoury. Forget the calories, forget the benefits. This is based on taste and fulfillment alone. What you choosing? I've already chosen. I think you probably know what I'm going to choose.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go sweet.
Really? What swings it for you? The ice cream?
Ice cream, chocolate, and Coca-Cola.
Oh, I forgot about drinks. No, I'm still going savoury because the thought of never ever having a pizza again, I can't. But see, I'm okay with never having a can of Coke again. But
oh no.
But that's a horrible question.
Yeah, you're the one who asked the question as well.
Yeah, change your mind. I'll get back to you. I'll have a think.
Yeah,
but,
the idea of not having a pizza again, that is an awful idea. But the idea of not having ice cream, chocolate, or Coke again, that's even worse.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's quite a predicament that we're finding ourselves in. Yeah, I'm quite fond of chocolate as well. So yeah, that was Mars bar. For me, the Mars bar is the king of chocolate bars. For me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could eat.
Wow.
I think my record in a day, this is a bit sickly, probably set on Easter Sunday 2001 or something like that. I think I ate 7 or 8 Mars bars in one day. I could eat Mars bars. I just love Mars bars. Absolutely love them. So I think that would be my chocolate bar of choice.
See, I don't think Mars bar would be anywhere near my top 5, maybe not even top 10.
That's wrong. That's incorrect. If you put Snickers above Mars, that's like saying Blur are better than Oasis. That's wrong.
That's why.
That's wrong.
Blur are better than Oasis.
That is wrong. That is incorrect.
Blur are way better than Oasis. Oasis aren't even in the top 100 best bands.
Oh, that's poor. Right, that's the end of the podcast. 8 minutes. We're done.
I would say top chocolate bars. Any Reese's has got to be up there.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
But quite possibly, like top tier chocolate bar is a Star bar.
What's that?
What? Have you never had a Star bar?
A Star bar?
Man. Yeah. So a Star bar.
I have to Google that.
It's like, imagine a Boost, but with peanut butter in it.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound pretty good.
It's top
tier.
Yeah.
I've just Googled it. No, I've never. Cadbury's.
Yeah. Cadbury's chocolate. So
can I throw one at? Can I throw one at you that I think you might enjoy?
Go on then.
Lion Bar.
Oh, a Lion Bar is good.
Big fan of a Lion Bar. Big fan. In fact, a little story about Lion Bars that I didn't plan to say on this podcast, but when me and Laura got engaged, we walked up Snowdon, and at the top, I popped the question up there. And the whole way up there, I'd said, as motivation, when you get up there, I'll give you your Lion Bar. It's probably a little bit Stockholm syndrome-y, really, isn't it? It's probably a little bit like I've imprisoned her. You can treating her like she's about 8.
So you can't have this yet. You've got to get to the top.
So we got to the top, and she thought I was going to give her a Lion Bar, but I gave her an engagement ring. So yeah,
see. So although on the way up she was a bit like a a kidnapped victim at the top, it was quite sweet.
It was like Snowden version of Taken, but with Lion Bars.
Brilliant.
No, yeah, and I gave her a Lion Bar as well. So
classic Lion Bar or different flavour Lion Bar?
Just classic. Just classic. I don't like it when chocolate bars and sweets start putting, collabs, and they start doing. Do you remember, like, again, one I've never had, but like when Mars started doing the Mars ice creams, I just thought, don't do that. No, don't do it.
See, I'd go for a Mars ice cream over a normal Mars bar.
Stop it! Stop it! Right, 3 strikes and you're out. You've already had 2. Wrong.
Right.
Incorrect.
Let's get off that anyway, because yeah. Anyway,
happy Easter.
So happy.
Give me some. Where's the pizza?
This week, one thing I have written down that was in, well, it wasn't just in running news, it was in the news everywhere, was the Barkley Marathons. And what's made me chuckle about the Barkley Marathons this year is because of the big news about it. All of like the news channels and news papers and news apps and stuff have been on it to try and boost their viewership. And they keep on calling it the Barkley Marathon, and they haven't got a clue what it is.
That's poor.
Yeah, and they're asking questions to people, and I really don't know what they're talking about. And it just makes me chuckle that they've jumped on this bandwagon because of Jasmine Paris. Yeah. And it's funny, but we have got to talk about Jasmine Paris and how incredible her run was.
So first of all, I guess we should say, for anyone that doesn't know what the Barkley Marathons is or are, it's an event in deepest, darkest, Louisiana or Tennessee. I think it's Tennessee, isn't it? It's a place called Frozen Head State Park, I think. And it's run by, it's an event, but it's a really exclusive event that's only got a handful of runners each time.
Yeah, I think only 40 start each race. And
the runners are basically, I think you apply or you're invited. I can't remember which one.
Well, you have to write a letter of application
by hand.
If you get by hand, and you have to, the entry fee is $1.60, which is brilliant. And then if you get selected, you get a letter of condolence to say that you've been invited.
It. Yeah. And it doesn't Lazarus Lake offer you. He says you don't have to do it. There's no shame in not doing this because it's. Yeah. And you've basically been trying to talk out. It's a letter of condolence, like you say, isn't it? And the crux of it is it's a 5-lap, 20-mile loop of hellish trails with no maps, no tech.
Yeah, you're not allowed GPS.
No support.
You're only allowed to look at the map at the start. No support on the way round. To prove you've done the 20-mile loop, so you have to do it in alternate directions as well. So if you go clockwise, the first one, you go anti-clockwise, and to prove you've done the loop, you have to collect pages out of books that are dotted around the course, and you have to rip out the page that corresponds to your race number to prove that you've been to all of the stops around the loop. But yeah, there's no GPS, no support or anything, and the elevation that you climb during the 100 mile of the 5 loops is equivalent to climbing Everest twice.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That helps show the craziness of entering this thing, doesn't it? It is.
Yeah.
It's impossible for all but a few people in the world. It's impossible, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think it started in 1989, was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it started in the 80s, and since the 80s, 20 people, so 20 individuals have completed the Barkley Marathons. So they've completed all 5 loops. And Jasmine Paris, British woman, is the first woman and the 20th person to complete the Barkley Marathon. So she was there last year and the year before, but she didn't complete all 5 loops. But this year, she completed all 5 loops with 99 seconds to spare of the 60-hour time limit.
Imagine what's going through your head in that last 5 minutes, having just run 99 miles of torture, and you've got to run. Oh, it looks like up a pretty savage hill as well to finish.
Yeah.
You have to tap the gate, don't you? You have to touch the gate.
The yellow gate, you have to touch the gate to finish. Yeah, that's the start and end of each loop.
But it's mad, isn't it? Because there's literally no timing mats. There's no finish line arch or
and there's no like coverage or anything. There was lots of photographers there taking photos, but there's no official coverage. So there's no like live feed or anything like that. It's just that what his real name.
Guy on Twitter.
Well, yeah, but the guy who runs it, his real name's Gary Cantrell, but he goes by the name of Lazarus Lake, which is cool, isn't brilliant. But he basically stands there and waits for people to arrive and finish the loops and everything. But the only way people were finding out what was happening live was a guy posting on Twitter.
Yeah. And I think he does that most years, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. But he must have no hits at all on his Twitter all year, and then one day a year just has millions of retweets. Yeah. It's amazing because the reason he started the Barkley Marathons is he was inspired by so the guy who assassinated Martin Luther King Jr. I think his name was James Earl Ray. In 1977, he escaped from the penitentiary, which is close to where the Barkley Marathons are, and he evaded police capture for 60 hours.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and he managed to cover 8 miles during those 60 hours whilst evading the police. And apparently, Lazarus Lake said, he only did 8 miles in 60 hours. I reckon I could do 100. So he basically came up with the idea. He wouldn't be able to do 100 because he stands there smoking cigarettes. That was the idea behind it, basically.
Which is the whole start of the race as well, isn't it?
Yes. So
when the cigarette, it's so primal, isn't it? This race. There's no tech. You could run this race in 1,000 years' time or 1,000 years ago, and it would still be the same, wouldn't it? Because there's no technology needed.
No, and there's no specific start time either. So the start time could be any time at all. And the way the people who are running it know that it's starting is he blows a conch shell an hour before the start.
Is that like an ocarina? Is that like a big shell?
No. So do you know the big shells that people find on the beaches and stuff where it looks looks like a snail has gone out of it, but it's massive.
Something that's come out of the sea. Yeah.
So he blows one of those an hour before the start of the race.
And then, that could be 2 a.m. Could be 2 in the afternoon.
Any time. And then the actual start of the race, when the timer starts, is when he lights his first cigarette.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's just brilliant, isn't it? It's wonderful. And I hope that I don't think it ever will, because I don't know if Lazarus Lake's the guy that's in charge of everything, which I assume he is. I don't think he'd ever let it get commercial, and I hope it never does, because it's only not even an elite group of runners, because, you know, Kilian Jornet has never run it, or anyone like that. It's almost like a bunch of crazy amateurs, isn't it? It's not like something you do for cash, because there's no prize. There's no. So obviously that's probably why the big time mountain elites aren't doing it. But what an accolade to be on your deathbed and say you completed all 5 loops of the Barkley Marathons. That's
and there's only 20 people that can say that. It's crazy. But what I really like about that Lazarus Lake as well is he is so he wants to keep it so insular and not big, like live feed out to the world and everything. So when Jasmine Paris finished and she basically collapsed on the finish line, all the photographers that were there crowded round her to take photos, and Lazarus Lake let them take a few and then just stepped out and shooed them away and pushed them out the way. So he wants it to still be like quite low key. He doesn't want this big pomp and ceremony about it.
I like that. I think it's a wonderful race, and it's so many of us are so interested in it, but we know so little of it because you know, you're not allowed to film the course. No one ever really, unless you've done it, no one knows what the course is like, or unless you've hiked or
and the course changes because there's no set there's no set route. So
it's crazy.
It's mad. Have you ever watched the documentary about it? There's a documentary in 2014 about it.
I'm aware of the one you mean, but I haven't seen it. But I've seen other things about it, but not that one.
Yeah, I remember watching it years ago and just thinking that is ridiculous. How anybody thinks they could possibly do that is mad. I'm
not saying like the Barkley Marathons, but would you ever put yourself through any kind of torturous, traily, mountainy kind of expedition like that, adventure like that?
I think eventually. Yeah, eventually. At the moment, in my head, I just want to try and get faster on the road. But I think once I start slowing down, that's when I start looking for different challenges and doing things like that. So, in the future, I'd love to try some big trail runs and stuff like that. I'd love to do the 3 Peaks challenge at some point.
That you could probably go for an FKT. I suppose.
I don't know about that.
The speed you could probably get up on, but I think of things maybe slightly differently to you, because I like to do a bit of both, and I know it's not conducive. And I heard a phrase which I said to you last week, which I really like, which is chase 2 rabbits, you'll end up with none. So I'm well aware of that, and I know that, you know, basically if you're training for a marathon, that basically means you can't really be expecting to get, I don't know, a 5K PB as well, or a 10K, or, you know, or maybe if you want to be a marathon runner and you also want to be a trail runner, maybe you've got to sort of choose what you're choosing to follow. But that being said, that never stops me wanting the thrill of adventure. And I will always, as far as I think I'm going to be a runner, I think I'll always do both.
Yeah.
Partly because I just get a thrill out of it, and it's not really. It's about performance, but it's not about performance. I love my times, and I love challenging myself on the roads. But yeah, I mean, that's for me. That's what the summer's for. I quite like those adventures. And
you say that though, but some of the top trail runners also like doing the speed stuff. So I think is it Tom Evans, the Adidas sponsored runner? He's a big trail guy and has won some big prestigious trail ultras and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure he was at the podium 5K the other week.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So
well, I know those guys, they still need a VO2 max. They still need to do intervals. They'll still need to do track sessions. You know, I watch a lot of Kilian Jornet's training, and he's always on the treadmill, and he's not always, you know, cross country snow skiing up mountains in the frozen tundra of Norway. Like he's doing the sessions just like so many other road runners, except he's, you know, his thing is mountain racing and stuff, isn't it? So yeah, I like your approach to it. It makes way more sense than mine, because when I'm doing things like trails, and I don't know, if I ever did like a 50K, I do run the risk of an unnecessary injury.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I just can't stop the idea of adventure.
That's what sometimes makes me chuckle about you and your training is like, I'll be out on the roads pounding the pavement constantly for my training for the marathon, and you go, oh, I'm just going to go run an ultra across the Malverns this week.
Yeah.
As part of your training for a marathon.
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, because I don't normally like to go above a marathon when training for a marathon. Well, I haven't ever done that yet. But literally 2 days before my Newport training block started, I did that canal run from Brum to Worcester, and that was 50K. And I just thought in my head, if I don't do it now, I know I'm not going to do it until summer. And in summer, it might be too hot. I might not find the opportunity. So I don't know. So yeah, that's why I had to do it there and then. But no, I do like my hilly runs. I do like my adventure runs. For me, they just keep it interesting, because I get quite bored. I especially with running the same routes, because we're all runners. We all probably suffer with this. We all know our local 10K route or our 10 mile or where we're going to run, and it can become a little bit samey, can't it? So sometimes mixing it up just adds a little bit of fun.
But that's why I enjoy cross country season so much, because you can run exactly the same course on cross country and have two completely different results on 2 different days. Whereas, you go and run a road loop, and you know what the road loop's like, and you can check your time against what you run last time, and it's going to be pretty similar. But cross country, the ground and the conditions are going to change so much that it keeps it interesting, and that's what's good about it. Time goes out the window, and it's more about effort.
Yeah, it's a different way of training, isn't it? And I think if you can find that within your training block, it just spices things up for you. And I'm a big fan as well of integrating different styles of runs within training for a road race, because you kind of develop either new skills or work on new muscles, don't you? And muscles you didn't realize you had in either your ankles or your quads, because it's like a bit of S&C for free, isn't it? If you're doing hills, and you feel like you've had a day in the gym after you've done a hill session. So
well, that's exactly what I was about to say. Is like, even if you're training for a flat race, you still want to do some hill reps and get that effort of going up the hills and stuff into the legs. And that's exactly what you've been doing this week. I have seen.
Tried. Yeah. Well, there's...
So tell us all about that.
Well, yeah, Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday. What day is it now? Friday. Yes, Wednesday, after doing an easy Monday and an easy Tuesday, because I'm running 6 out of 7 days this week, because I'm in 2nd week of peak, I decided that Monday and Tuesday, I just thought I need to do a session of some sort today. And like I was just saying, I wanted to just mix it up a bit. So went over to Great Malvern, or just somewhere in between Great Malvern and Malvern Wells. And there's a notorious, infamous road called the Old Wyche Road. And it's the 2nd steepest residential street in Malvern. And it's sneaky, because at the bottom of it, you think, this is all right. This ain't too bad at all. I could eat this for breakfast, lunch and dinner. And then as you get going, it's like an exponential graph. It gets steeper and steeper and steeper. And at the end, no joke, it's a 45% grade, the last 50 meters or so. And I looked like I did 5 reps, and I did a pyramid style. So I did easy 1 and 5, 2 and 4 were sort of medium, and the 3rd rep was the effort rep. And on that 3rd rep, the only effort that I could bring to the table was don't stop running. Not like, let's try and do strides or let's try and be a hero. It's like, do not walk. And I managed to get to the top without walking. But I filmed myself, because I filmed a little bit that day, and I sounded like some sort of little gremlin I sounded like a little goblin. I was breathing. I was talking like I've never. I was trying to get words out. I could speak. I was probably in about zone 47, and wow, that absolutely crucified me. And what I was doing as well, I worked out that it was a 750-meter hill, and I was doing on the way down, on the way up. The quickest I got up there was 5 minutes 30. By the way, I thought definitely in the top 3, maybe top 5. Okay, I'll settle for top 10, 58th of all time. Because I thought by the time I got up there, I thought, yeah, I've done well here. I've done well. I've done well here. I've done well. I'm definitely a top 3. 58, livid, absolutely livid. And I was doing 5 minutes 30 to get up there. And with literally, I was in like zone 1. I got down in about 4 minutes. I was doing like, my gap pace was about 2-minute kilometers up marathon world record pace, because it was so steep coming down. But it was a nice recovery jog. And what I liked about hill reps, which I've never really realized, is it's glutes, calves, and hammies on the way up, and it's quads on the way down.
Yep.
And it's those recovery jogs down, even though they're nice for your lungs, they're killers for your quads. And now today I'm still feeling it. So really enjoyed it though, to be honest. I would definitely recommend everyone just to put it on their bucket list and go drive to the Old Wyche Road or run to it, get there however you can, and just do 1 rep up it, or go up half of it, or go up the very end of it, because it is tricky. It is a really, really tricky segment. But 58th, man, 58th, I can't believe it. No, but it was good.
And that was full out effort.
That third rep, I don't think I could have done it any faster. In fact, I actually was going to do 6 reps, and the middle 2, so reps 3 and 4 were going to be hard efforts. And then 5 and 6, I was going to come down the mountain, if you know what I mean. So up the pyramid and then down.
Yeah.
And I got down the bottom, and I just thought, I can't do another one. I literally couldn't. And normally I've got a little bit more mental toughness than that, especially in training. But I just thought, no, I literally can't. And that day was a half marathon as well, because I'd already done 10K to get there. And because it was 750 meters up, that means it's 750 back. So each rep was a K and a half, nearly a mile. And I did 5 reps. That's an extra 5 mile of my. So I ended up doing a half marathon that day. So got some serious volume in. But apart from that, as you can imagine, everything else has been easy. And this morning I ran a progressive kind of easy, steady, and then a bit of marathon pace at the end, which was fun. But apart from that, that's where I'm at. And then I've got a big run tomorrow, and then recovery Sunday.
Nice. Yeah, my week as well. I'm now in taper, so my week has reduced slightly compared to the last few weeks. But I think I'm on track to run about 70 mile this week, which will be a big difference from last week, because I hit 91.5 mile just under last week. So that's a lifetime PB for weekly mileage for me.
That's massive. That's big.
Which, I'm quite pleased with how, the fact that I managed to hit that mileage and how I felt at the end of that week wasn't too bad. So, decent. And then this week, although I'm in taper, we spoke about this a little bit last week. I'm still keeping the intensity there. So although I'm dropping the mileage, I'm still putting in efforts. So I'm still training and doing my training sessions. So on Tuesday, we're on the bus route, and we did mile, halved, quartered, mile. So we did a mile rep with 3 minutes recovery, and then we did 2 half-mile reps with 2 minutes recovery in between. And then we did 4 quarter-mile reps with 1 minute recovery in between, and then a mile rep again at the end. and each change of different distance had 3 minutes recovery. But I jogged all of my recoveries, so there was 4 mile of effort, and because I jogged all of my recoveries, it ended up being a 6 mile session. But yeah, that was really good, and I in my head I wanted to try and keep all of the efforts below 6 minute miling, and I think I was for the mile efforts I was doing about 5:55 ish a mile, and then I was going down to the 5:30s for the half mile and the quarter mile, so about 5:30, 5:38, somewhere around there. So yeah, really pleased with that one on Tuesday. And then yesterday, because it is Friday today, isn't it? So yeah, yesterday, Thursday, we had a track session and we were doing 800 meter reps. So we did 8 times 800 meters with 200 meters recovery in between. And I was hitting, I was doing each 800 meters in about 2 minutes 50. So that's under 6 minute miling pace, about 5:45 a mile pace. So yeah, pretty decent. And then yeah, so I managed to keep them consistent and all pretty much the same sort of time. So yeah, really pleased with that. But on our so I finished the session yesterday and felt really good. Stopped after my last rep and had a chat with everybody whilst people were finishing off their session. And then we set off for a warm down, and halfway through the warm down, I felt this pinching sensation on the back of my leg by my hamstring. I don't think it's muscle. I think it's either ligament or tendon, just like a weird pinchy sensation. And it just continued throughout the warm down, and then all the time I was on the cross trainer, all the time I was doing my S&C, and all the time I was running home, and it was really odd. And then today it's just like I can feel I had not an issue, but I can feel that I had a pain yesterday. It's got like that dull ache from, like when you get a bruise or you have like a knock on something, the next day it's just like aching. I've got that all down the back of my leg, and I'm
almost like a dead leg sensation sort of thing.
Sort of, but it's not. Yeah, sort of, but it's in like the ligament or tendon that runs down the back of your hamstring, and I can't tell whether it's really bad or whether it's my head saying, "Hey, you're in taper." And the one thing they say about taper is just don't get injured. And I think I don't know whether it's my head playing with me and saying, "Hey, you've got an injury." But yeah, I don't know. So we'll see how that feels tomorrow, because I've put my name down for Pacer Week at Parkrun to run 19 minutes. So hopefully I'll wake up in the morning and I won't feel anything, but we'll see.
So that must be close to 6 minute miles, is it?
Yeah, 6:07 a mile, I think it is, for 19 minutes. So we'll see.
So I presume you'll run down there easy, will you?
Yeah, so I'll run down easy. It's about 2.5 mile away, and then I'll run back easy. So hopefully just the 3 mile effort won't be too bad.
So here's a question then for anyone else that's tapering. What are you going to do for your long runs leading up to Manchester to Marathon Day? Because you've got 2 more Sundays. Sorry to make you panic, but you've got 2 more Sundays until race day.
Yeah.
So that's if you do long runs on Sundays. Will you keep the long runs in there, or will you reduce them down to 10 miles, or will you what will you do?
This week I can't decide whether to run 13 mile on Sunday with some marathon pace effort, and do a couple of mile in the evening as an easy, or run 16 this week. And because obviously we did 20 on Sunday just gone, so reduce it a bit, do 16, but have my slow warm up and warm down within that, and just put in some bits of marathon pace in the middle. And then next week I'll probably knock it down to about 10 mile as my long run on Sunday.
Yeah, because obviously, well, we'll talk about this in a bit, but last weekend's long one was a 20 straight through. So what will have been your longest long run in one go this block?
Will be that 20. That was my longest run of the block.
Yeah.
It's a 20.
Have you done, when you think back to previous marathons, I mean, last year was probably the closest one you could probably relate to, because you're in a similar shape. Hopefully you're in better shape this year. We'll find out. But you ran, did you run over 20 miles during that block?
No.
So is that your limit?
Yeah. I think 20 miles is where I want to be as my longest run. I see lots of people doing 22s and 23s, but I personally think that's verging on the point where your body is going past the point where it recovers quickly. And you're starting to put a bit too much effort in, and it needs longer to recover. Because when you go and run a marathon, you need a long time to recover after that, because you put your body through that like full on fatigue for that amount of mileage. And I just think that if we're getting up towards that mileage, your body can't recover quick enough to carry on the training that you need to do within a training block. And I don't want to hinder my recovery within the training, so that when I get to the marathon, I'm still fatigued or whatever. So I always think 20 is long enough as the longest run.
Okay, that's interesting to know. Is that because you find that would you ever do 23-mile completely easy? Or are your long runs almost always integrated with some form of steady or faster pacing? Like, do you ever do long, easy runs? Only easy?
I've done long, easy runs this block, but it's because I've done cross country on the Saturday, or I've put in effort on the Saturday. So
I see.
The long run then is easy on the Sunday because the effort's been on the Saturday. But if I've not been like racing on the Saturday, all of my long runs have had blocks or sections of marathon pace in there. So I don't know. It's an interesting one, because I see lots of people when they're marathon training going up to 22, 23 mile. And personally, for the way that my body feels, I wouldn't want to go over 20 miles.
Fair enough. Yeah. And especially if you're at peak volume as well.
Yes.
It's any excuse to end the run, any excuse to hit that watch. I'm with you on that one, because I think the intensity it does take its toll, doesn't it? Yeah.
Are you going to go like for another long run, because you've still got 2 weeks? Are you going to go for another 20 miler?
Yes, I'm going to do 19 tomorrow, which is about 30k tomorrow, which I will run maybe quite similarly to how I ran last week, which we'll go through in a bit. And then next week is going to be something very similar. It's going to be about 30k, 19 mile, maybe 32, which is 20 mile. So it will be quite similar, and it won't be pushing, anything higher than marathon pace. And that's one thing I said to myself going into this block, is that when I do my Sunday long runs or my weekend long run, or whatever day I've done the long run on, don't do anything faster than marathon pace. And that's just purely a choice. Some people, want to see what's beyond marathon pace and see if they can, because obviously there are gains to be had beyond marathon pace. But for me, I, like you were saying about worrying about recovery and that sort of stuff, I just wanted to just almost do an experiment and just only keep my Sundays with a max intensity of marathon pace. And I've been quite enjoying feeling okay the days after and the evenings. Whereas sometimes there's nothing worse than finishing a long run and just feeling like death, because you just might not want to go for a run tomorrow. And I've got to be mindful that I'm in a training block, so I need to be operational. And not only am I in a training block, I'm a human being with a job. And, I've got to do stuff. So I don't want to completely kill myself and run myself, into the ground, because I've got to try my best to be operational. So that's maybe why.
What's really good about that is as well is you're locking into that marathon pace. You are getting a feel of what that marathon pace feels like during a long run. So when it comes to the marathon, you'll know that pace that you need to sit at and lock into, because you know how that feels during those long runs, rather than how it feels to run faster than that.
Yeah. Well, shall we have a chat about last Saturday, about the Fission 20 miler?
Yes, let's do it.
Because it was pretty good, wasn't it? We both had a good day at the office, didn't we, Saturday?
We did indeed. I think my comment at the end of the race was 10 out of 10 would run again.
Yeah. I would recommend to all, because I genuinely, even if my race went badly, would still run that again, because it wasn't expensive, first and foremost. No. I can't remember how much it was. And it almost had almost like a parkrun community feel to it. And what I liked about it was not everybody, but a lot of people there were in the same boat as us. They're kind of rolling out a dress rehearsal really for the big day. And it meant people were willing to sort of chat and swap tips or just general running chat, and it just made the day really, really fun. And it wasn't really like a, don't talk to me, I'm in marathon pace, I'm in race mode. It wasn't like that. It was just it was a good friendly event. And I thought the marshals were great. Course was nice. It was nice. It was flat, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, there was a couple of little rises, but pretty much other than that, all flat. Yeah.
Yeah. Because my Strava's came up with about 150 meters. So what's that? About 400 foot, is it?
Yeah.
Of elevation. So it wasn't that bad at all. But yeah, two 10-mile laps, or 2 9.5 or 2 9-mile laps. And then you've got a finish through the village of Ham, I think it is. And then you finish by the power station.
Yeah, it was nice and scenic as well. So it wasn't like it was a dull town centre race where you're looking at boring buildings and stuff. There was beautiful scenery to look at. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go first then? Why don't you say how the day went for you, expectation versus reality?
So I went down there with the idea of doing a progressive session basically for that 20 mile. So I split it up into 4 blocks of 5 miles. And my original intention was to run 45 seconds slower than marathon pace for the first 5 mile, then 30 seconds slower for the second 5 mile, 15 seconds slower for the third 5 mile, and then marathon pace for the last 5 mile.
Yeah.
But I'm going to bring up my Strava just to have a look at the paces, because as always, I set off and went out a little bit too quick. But on that going out a little bit too quick, it felt really good. And I was looking at my watch thinking, I'm going a bit too quick, but this feels really, really comfortable. And I was chatting to people whilst I was running. So it wasn't like I was, as you say, wasn't head down, go for it. I was chatting to everyone around me. And I ran a couple of miles with a guy having a chat. And yeah, it was really good. And the first 5 mile block, so my plan was to run 7:25s for the first 5 mile, and I ran 7:15, 7:15, 7:19, 7:16, and 7:14. So although they were all about 10 seconds too quick, they were all very consistent and pretty much on the money for every mile. And I must admit, for the second half of that 5 mile block, I felt like I was easing off, but I was carrying on the same pace. So I was obviously feeling really good. in that first 5 miles. So I said to myself, right, okay, the next 5 mile block, let's try and run on the pace that you want to run. So the second 5 mile, I was supposed to run at 7:10s, and I ended up running for that second 5 mile, 7:01, 7:07, 7:01. So again, all about 10 seconds too quick, but perfectly like all consistent and felt really good again. So it was a consistent step up and staying on pace. And then for the third 5 mile, I was supposed to run 6:55s, and I ran a 6:50, 6:48, 6:47, 6:50, and a 6:44. So again, pretty consistent and felt really good. And at this point, we were 15 mile in, and I couldn't believe how good I felt. I think I'd got my nutrition perfect. I'd taken on water when I needed to. I didn't stop at every single water station. I just took it on when I needed to. I was taking my electrolyte capsules, like when I took the water on and things. And I just felt really, really good at 15 mile. And I thought, okay, so now going into this marathon pace block, I'm in a really good place for hitting these miles. So marathon pace for me, well, target marathon pace is 6:40 a mile. So I went into this marathon pace 5 miles, and the first mile I hit 6:30 mile. And I was like, okay, that's 10 seconds too quick, but I'm feeling really good. So let's just try and stick around 6:30s and see if I can keep this 6:30s going on. And the next mile, I ran a 6:25. So I'd sped up, but I didn't really feel like I was speeding up. And then the third mile of this block, I ran a 6:24. So I was keeping that pace. And again, I couldn't believe how good I felt. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try and kick on here and see if I can finish this race strong. And one of the best feelings in a race, obviously it wasn't a race because it was a training run. So it was a race that wasn't a race. But one of the best feelings in a race is catching people up and overtaking them and just reeling people in. And that's all I was doing for these last 5 miles, was reeling people in and overtaking them. And when I got to that last 2 mile, I thought, I can't believe how good I feel. I'm going to kick on. And for the 19th mile, I ran a 6:09. And I was like, this is crazy that I feel this good. And I caught up a guy that had passed me halfway through at 10 mile. And I caught him and I thought, that's mad that he was running so much faster than me at 10 mile. And I've caught him. I'm just going to kick on again and see if I can finish really strong. And even with the headwind on that last mile, which was horrendous, the headwind, the 20th mile, I managed a 6-minute mile. So I finished 40 seconds a mile faster than marathon pace and finished really strong and managed to sprint, well, not sprint, but properly push it over that finish line. And I honestly cannot believe that I felt that good all the way through it. I've never felt that good on a long run. I absolutely am so happy with the way I ran it, and the fact that those blocks, you can see the 4 blocks of 5 miles, because they are consistent pace until I gradually pushed it on in that last 5 miles. I'm so happy with the way I ran it, really happy with the result, and hopefully that bodes well for 3 weeks' time. I just hope I haven't hit my best race in the training block rather than on race day. Let's hope that the dress rehearsal goes as well as the actual race day.
Well, you had 2 really strong weekends in a row, didn't you? Because the week before was your half marathon.
Yeah. So the training this year has gone really well. I'm in a much better place at this point than I was last year. I feel
Considering when we first started this podcast and you were basically limping,
yeah,
and you were starting this 14-week training block, and you were basically in agony.
Yeah,
and we were all thinking, right, mate, I think just maybe approach this one with caution. But no, here he goes.
Yeah,
good old Ellesmore. And no, you've like you say, you're probably in the shape of, dare I say it, your life.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, and looking at my graph for like my build, it's such a lovely graph of just consistent up. There's the one little dip where I took a deload week on week 7, and then it just gradually goes back up again. And I'm so happy with how it's all gone. I just need to keep this going now for these next, what have we got? Just over 2 weeks now, and hopefully it goes as well on race day. But yeah, it training and this block, I don't think it could have gone any better.
So have you worked out, because I know obviously you didn't race at the weekend at marathon pace, but you finished in about 2:15, was it 2:20?
2:17.
2:17. Do you know what your 20-mile split needs to be to hit a 2:55? Or circa, so it needs to be.
Yeah. So the 20 miler we did on Saturday at the Fission, I ran an average pace of 6:50 a mile.
Yeah.
So, and that was 2:17. So, if we take off 10 seconds a mile for 20 mile, what's that in minutes?
Don't look at me, mate. It's maths.
I know. That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm not going to ask you some maths at all. So, hang on. So that's 3 minutes 20 seconds. So what's that? So yeah. So it's like 2:14. I need to go through 20 miles for 2:55.
So that's only a little bit faster, isn't it? Only a little bit more effort.
Yeah.
And obviously you'd balance, because you obviously finished a lot faster, but if you balance that effort out across the 20 miles, who knows, you maybe even be capable of a Fission finish on marathon day.
You never know. A negative split could possibly be possible, but the problem is, as we always say, a marathon is a 20-mile warm-up for a 10K race. You try and push on after that 20 mile for the second half of the marathon. I don't care what anyone says, that last 6 mile is like the second half of the marathon. That's when it sorts the men from the boys and the wheat from the chaff. So hopefully when I get to 20 miles, I'll feel that good. But I know that last year I felt good up until just gone 21 mile, and that's when the cramp set on. So
21.
if I can get my nutrition and my electrolytes on this year, and hopefully the S&C that I've been doing has strengthened my hamstrings and stuff a bit more. So I don't know, we'll see. But it's going into the unknown. That is the thing. Those last few miles in the marathon are the unknown each time.
Yeah. Well, I think you're obviously approaching it. You obviously smashed last week. That probably couldn't have got any better. And I imagine the confidence it's given has made you think, yes, it's on. it is on. And but it's like, no matter what happens on race day, you've always got this memory of this Fission 20 miler now, because I've never felt so good as well, because it was a good one for me as well. And I don't think I've ever run so far, so fast, feeling so good. And it's a great feeling. It's a wonderful feeling, because usually by 20 mile, I'm dying. I'm ready to call it quits. But I reckon if the marathon was on Sunday, who knows what would have happened if it was on Sunday just gone. But I reckon I had another 10K in me that day. I reckon I could have run up to the distance. Whether I would have managed to keep the same speed, I don't know. But the way I approached it was similar to you. So I decided to split my race up into 3 segments. And I started, if you imagine a clock face, my like half past, that's where my steady pace is. And then at quarter past is in between steady and marathon pace, because I like to think of the clock face like 5 minutes per mile per kilometer is my dream marathon pace. That's where I want to be. So I was kind of, the needle was kind of in between 22. That was where the first 10K was. The second 10K was at 5:20, so 20 past, and then it slowly crept up towards that 5 minutes a K. So the way I decided to do it was the first K was not quite easy, but in between steady and easy. I wanted 5:40s, and got 5:40, bang on. Exactly on the 10K. The second 10K, I wanted 5:20s. So quite a jump, really. 20 seconds per kilometer is quite a jump.
Yeah.
And got 5:17 average, or 5:18 for that second 10K. And then by then, 20K is what, 12 and a half mile. I was like you were, I was thinking, what's going on? Why? But then I remembered, well, I'm not running marathon pace. This should feel easy, and I shouldn't con myself into thinking that I'm getting cocky. However, we're feeling good, so it's time to step it up. So I got to the half marathon, 13 mile, and I got my last 12K then, because for me, a 20 miles, 32K. So I thought, let's run the last 12 at marathon pace, which is 5 minutes a K. I think it's about 8:04, 8:03, something like that. And I averaged, well, the last 10K split, I averaged 5:01. And my last 2 kilometers, my last 5K were 5 minutes, 4:59, 4:52, 4:49, and 4:46. And I was getting quicker. So I think I was just like shell shocked. I was like, what's going on? What is going on? Because I've never felt like that before. And like you were saying, yes, it's nice to sort of pick people off and reel people in, but you don't expect that to happen as you progress through a race. But I was picking more and more people off the more I went through the race. And I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was trying to stick to the game plan. But I thought, like you, last 5K or last 3 mile, 2 mile, let's just see what we can do. Let's, go against the race plan a little bit, because I know the game's going to be over in potentially 9 minutes, 10 minutes. So yeah, let's just throw caution to the wind, literally, because like you say, that headwind, and let's have a go. And I'm so glad I did, because I had the safety net of knowing that the race would be over within a few minutes. But yeah, what's to lose from that? What's to lose from trying to finish strong if you feel like you're capable of it? And I'm so glad I did. And I even felt like I had a bit of a sprint in me. So I think I managed a 5:40, 5:50 mile sprint finish, which is about a 3:30 pace. Mainly, I think we all know why.
Yes,
it's because I could feel someone behind me. And from 10K, when I decided to go up, to the 5:20s from the 5:40s, I didn't get overtaken. So that's almost 2 hours of not getting overtaken. That's almost 2 hours of an ego the size of Bromsgrove, of Redditch put together. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just like running past people, just breezing past people, like, morning, how's it going, everyone? Oh, Gloucestershire is nice, isn't it, this time of year? And I'm just like hardly even like breaking a sweat sort of thing. And literally 30 seconds to go, I can hear someone. And I didn't even have to turn my head because I could see him. And I thought, he's got close. he ain't passing me now. So that's why there was a sprint finish, because I just couldn't let the guy do me. I couldn't do it. And I'm glad I had that little bit of competitive spirit, and I'm glad that existed in a training run. I said it wasn't going to happen, but it does, because as we said in the vlog we did, race finish lines just seem to have a hold over you as a runner, don't they?
Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. If you see a finish line, race or not a race, if you see a finish line, you are speeding up to go to that finish line. It's like you go to Parkrun every week, and even the people right at the back, they see that finish line and they sprint. And it's like, how have you suddenly got that energy? You've struggled for 3 miles, and all of a sudden you've got this energy to sprint to the finish.
Yeah.
But it is that thing of, you see the finish line, you go, oh man, I've got to get there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, I'm super proud, pleased for both of us that we both went down there, and my nutrition was good as well. So that's probably worth mentioning. So you came and picked me up, and just as you were outside, I was just finishing off my peanut butter bagel, which I'd sort of haven't been having for the last few races. So I thought I'd go back to that. So I had a peanut butter bagel, one peanut buttered and one just normal buttered. And that was all I had that morning. And then got to the start line of the race, having only had that. I don't think I had a gel. Sometimes I have a gel on before the start line, but I chose not to. I'm just going to say, for the purposes of this, a gel. And by that, what I mean is half of a square, half of a bar of Vooms, which is what I've been using. Because a full Voom is 2 gels. So I use, half. So I said to Brett, I said at the start, at the end, I want to have empty pockets. I want to have eaten all my food. And I felt like the Fission 20 miler was like a moving picnic, because I had the equivalent of 7, it was either 6 or 7 gels. I can't remember what it was, but I had quite a lot. I think it was probably 6, which is an average of probably 1 every, because the good thing about these Vooms is you can break them in half. So you can have technically your gel over 20 minutes. So you can have 1 gel, one square, which is half a gel. You can have that and then sort of, let that settle. And then you can have the next one. Because I think Voom actually recommend you have one every 10 minutes, I think. I can't remember. So that's what I was doing. I was trying to consume a gel every 25-ish minutes. So basically every 5K, something like that, every 5-6K. Sorry, more like 4-5K. And I wasn't really keeping an eye on the road, on the distance markers on my watch. I was just eating when I think I should be eating. And and my pockets were getting lighter, so I thought this must be going down well. And the only ones I didn't finish or I didn't think I needed, were the last caffeine ones, because I just feel like I need to be careful with caffeine stuff, just in case it gives me a bad tummy or does something I don't want it to do. So I did have 1 caffeine gel for my last one, and probably on the race day itself in a couple of weeks, I think I'll probably have at least 2 towards the end. But the glucosey ones, they went down so well, and they contain electrolytes as well. So I don't know if that was just good luck or something to do with the nutrition or good training or not running fast enough. I don't know what it was, but I didn't cramp. I didn't feel any signs of fatigue really that badly that made me want to seriously slow down. So maybe the electrolytes within the Voom helped. Took on water, every water station, didn't glug it. Again, a previous mistake I've made at several marathons I've done, especially Chester and York, was towards the end of the race, I just necked the bottle. What I do, because I've already hit the wall by now, and I'm walking through the last water station or 2. I drink literally a bottle of water because I'd be so dehydrated. I drink it, and then off the first person giving out, and then the last person, I take another bottle. And I take it with me. I know. And that's why I'm exorcist style projectile vomiting.
I was going to say, that so, can't sit very well at all. Yeah.
But I just feel so dehydrated that I have to take that water. In that moment, if you'd have said you can have water or no water, I'd be like, well, I'm having water, because I feel like I'm in the desert and I can't survive without water. That's how I felt in that moment. But last week, I know it was a kind temperature. It was about 9 degrees, 8 degrees. And let's face it, the end of April for my race, it could be 29. It could be really warm, couldn't it? So I need to be prepared for that. But last week, nutrition, hydration went really, really well. Really pleased. Didn't take a running vest with me like a lot of people did, because I just, to be honest, don't want the extra weight. So I could have taken water and electrolytes with me in the form of liquids, but I didn't. I'm really glad with the decisions that I made. So, like I said, if my race day doesn't go well, I can always come back to feeling I was almost there, because the Fission 20 went so well, and I just need to maybe just take a leaf out of the Fission book every time I do a race if my races don't go well, because I feel like it was a race to remember for me.
Yeah. So my nutrition went really, really well as well during it. But so I did my usual of malt loaf for breakfast, get those carbs on board. And then before the race, so whilst we were getting changed and getting ready for the race, I had a carb drink. So I had some powder, which I mixed with water. And the one that I've been using is gross. It tastes horrible. But we got it for free at the running show. So I was like, well, I might as well use it. It was free. So to try and make it taste a bit better, I chucked an electrolyte tab in there as well. And it actually made it taste half decent. So I had a carb drink before we set off with an electrolyte in it. And then during the race, I had my first lot of fuel at 6 mile. And then I did it every 3 mile after that. So every 5K. So I went for my usual power bar, power shots. So they're like little gummies, but they've got caffeine in. So I had my first lot at 6 mile. Then I had the next ones at 9 mile. And then at 12 mile, I took on some Voom. So I had some of the lemon and lime electrolyte Voom at 12 mile. Then at 15 mile, I took on the power shots again. And then at 18 mile, I didn't feel like I needed any. And I thought, I've only got 2 mile to the finish, so I'm not going to take on my 18 mile one. So I didn't bother at 18 mile. Obviously, when I get to the marathon, I will take on fuel then. So I think I'm going to use the same strategy at Manchester so first one at 6 mile and then every 3 mile after that.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will serve me well. But I was also taking on, I use salt stick capsules. So they're like a little capsule tablet. And each time I took on some water at the water stations, I was taking on a electrolyte capsule. And it seemed to work really well. So I will be using exactly the same fueling strategy when we get to Manchester in a couple of weeks' time.
Wicked. I think what I need to do, I think I need to hydrate better through the week, because there were things that I could have gone better for me. Like sometimes I didn't feel so smooth, maybe up hills as I would have liked to have felt, and I don't know. So maybe that's a form issue, or maybe that will just come with a few more weeks of training. I don't know. But yeah, I think for me, one of the big things is not, like I've mentioned in previous podcasts, is not carb loading, as I think you should carb load the day before and the week before, and hydrate better, because that's probably, I mean, for context as well, the Chester one that I'm referring to, where I literally projectile vomited out of the car window, was that day in October. I think it was the same day you did Ulster 10K. So it was the middle of October, and it was freakishly hot that day. It was about up to about 25 degrees by the time I was finishing that marathon. And that's why I necked all that water on that last water station, which was at the top of the hill, about 25 miles. because I was just spent. I was just done, which I wouldn't do normally. If obviously it's not something you ever really want to do is neck water. You want to sip little, well, not even little and often. I just think a few sips of that water is all you need, really.
In any race, no matter whether it's a short race or a long race, if I ever take a bottle of water, I take a bottle of water, 2 sips, and then throw it away. I never take more than that, because if you're taking on enough electrolytes, it will allow you to absorb the water properly, because that's what electrolytes do. Basically, you're sweating out electrolytes and you're putting them back into your body, because it's your electrolytes that allow your body to absorb water properly. So if you've sweated all your electrolytes out and you've not taken any back on, you can drink as much water as you like, but it's not going to actually hydrate you. And that might be the issue that you had at that marathon, was you didn't have enough electrolytes in you and you just craved water, and you were drinking water and it wasn't really doing anything.
I'll tell you what the issue was. I took 2 gels because I thought 2 gels would be fine. That'd be enough. I took my 2 gels. I'm fine. I'm at a half marathon. Don't need any more.
Yeah.
I don't really like them anyway.
On a 4-hour run, I'm just going to take 2 gels.
It's only 30. It's only 30 degrees. You'll be fine. But yeah, that's. I got into I was uncomfortable, and I was not happy. Uncomfortable. You know, sometimes you can be comfortably uncomfortable. I was unhappy and uncomfortable. I was grumpy. So I wasn't reaching for the gels. I was reaching for the water every time, because your brain thinks you need water to survive this. And that's not the way to think, is it? Because if you think about it, you're creating a washing machine inside your body, aren't you, of water? And as soon as you finish and you come back down to earth, after 5, 10, 15 minutes after you finish, and the adrenaline leaves your body, the lactic acid starts to pour in and solidify, then you start to really crash hard. And that's why I was really badly sick, because my body was like, right, rejecting all these toxins that are in my body. You got too much water in your system that we don't need. So that was one of the mistakes I made in my first couple of marathons when I first did London, is instead of like looking into gels or anything like that, I was using Lucozade Sport as my like not only like fluid, but also as my energy source. Because that is good stuff.
No, it's great, but I wasn't taking on anything solid. Well, I was, but not much. I was back then. I was using Cliff shot blocks, so they're like little bits of jelly, and I was having those as well as Lucozade Sport. And what I was doing is, because London was sponsored by Lucozade Sport, and I was using it in my training, I was going through the marathon and I would grab a bottle of Lucozade Sport and I would take some sips and carry it with me, take some more sips, and I'd finish the bottle by the time I'd get to the next Lucozade Sport aid station, throw that bottle away, take another bottle, and I would just be for the whole marathon drinking Lucozade Sport. And it would fill my belly full of liquid, along with a few bits of like the jelly Cliff shot blocks. And it's basically like getting a cocktail shaker and just shaking it up for however many hours you're out there. And mine didn't come out of my mouth. I didn't projectile vomit, but I know I had to run as quick as I could when the race finished and get to those portaloos, because it came out the other end. Just as liquidy as it went in.
Because your body sort of starts to go into shutdown mode, doesn't it, after a marathon? And it will reject things that it doesn't think should be in the body. That's like a survival tool of the human body, isn't it? So, I learn lessons, and I really hope that I don't repeat that, because it's like we're humans, so we're instinctual, aren't we? We live moment to moment, and if you're thirsty, you want to drink, and especially if you're 25 mile into a marathon and you're kind of a zombie by that point, you're not going to be making good decisions. So that's why you have to probably make good decisions when you are compos mentis earlier on in the race, you know, a mantra. And I was going to do this week actually, but we probably won't have time. I was going to go through some mantras that I think might help us and other runners that we can cling on to. But one thing I really like, and I've stuck with for 10 years now, I first heard it, is do something now or do something today that your future self will thank you for. And I've lived by that for a long time. I don't always remember that. I don't always live by that, but I think it's quite a good piece of advice, really, because once you do have the ability to make good decisions, make them.
Yeah.
Because soon in a marathon, you won't be the person you used to be. You'll just be like, okay, just need to get to this finish line as quickly as possible. And yeah.
Nice. Right. So at this point, should we have a quick look at a couple of comments that have come in from the last video?
Yes, we've had an email as well.
Oh, okay, cool. So I am conscious of time though. So let's just have a quick look. So our good old friend Gary Manders has commented and has mentioned about, because we said about the road relays and stuff, he mentioned the Inkborough relays that are coming up in May, and it's a 5k relay, and I think it's teams of 4, and he has mentioned about that. And one particular point he's put in is there's no medals.
Oh, I'm not doing it.
But there is prizes for men's and women's and mixed team. But I haven't personally done that one, but I know people who have, and they've said it's a really good one to do. So yeah, if anybody's looking for a good fun race in May, there is the Inkborough relays. But he also commented on my comments on zero drop shoes and the Vivo barefoot thing and stuff. And I've got to mention it again. Do you know, I said if I see one more Vivo barefoot advert, I'm going to go mad. I shouldn't have said the name, because those are the only ads I've had since last week. Just constant. They're just bombarding me. But he said there's nothing wrong with zero drop shoes on natural ground. I run quite a lot of trail, and the closer to the ground feel, the better. Natural ground is very different from tarmac. Our feet were not built to run on such a man-made surface, and the vast majority of us need assistance, which I can completely agree with. Yeah, we weren't made to run on tarmac, but that's why running shoes are so important, because that cushioning helps us. And I know he said a closer to the ground feel is better for off-road and on natural ground and on trails and stuff. But that's one of the things I'm not sure ultra might not be the best choice, because they're quite cushioned zero drop. So does that give the same? I don't know. But as always, it's only my opinion, and everyone's got different opinions, and no, not everyone's going to agree. So it's good to have different opinions and different things.
I've never tried ultras, and I would actually like to stick them on my feet, because obviously my opinion is technically void if I've never put them on my feet. But I know what I think I know about them, but I would actually genuinely like to try them on. So maybe if you've wore ultras before, let us know in the comments of this, and let us know how you get on with them, what you like about them, what you don't.
Yeah. And then we also had another comment about the Vivo barefoot stuff from Jack8205. And he said, on the Vivo barefoot thing, running in Vivos, in my opinion, is as silly as walking in running shoes. The heel drop whilst walking does you no good, throws all your joints and alignments out of whack. Walking in zero drop shoes will strengthen your feet and correctly align your whole body and actually benefit your running. Maybe it helped mine massively. Went from serious shin splint issues to zero issues. And Jack, if that's helped you, fantastic. I think that's great. But I don't think Vivo Barefoots are for everyone. yes, probably walking in zero drop shoes is fine, and hardly any cushioning is fine. But when you're walking, you can heel strike all you like, and it's not really going to affect you that badly. So wearing Vivo barefoots and walking and heel striking and not changing your gait at all is probably fine. But as soon as you start running, if you want to hit, well, if you are a heel striker or anything like that, and you start running in non-cushion shoes or non-corrective shoes or zero drop shoes, you're going to cause yourself all sorts of problems, because that's what one of the reasons cushioning was put into shoes is because of people heel striking. Some people say humans didn't start heel striking until we had cushion shoes, because you have, when you don't have shoes on, you have to forefoot strike, because that's your natural, your body's natural suspension is your ankle. So you forefoot strike. I mean, if you look at a baby walk, they walk on their tiptoes because that's how naturally humans walk. But as soon as you put your foot in a pair of shoes, you'll start heel striking, and that's the thing. Yes, it probably does help and correct your walking by wearing zero drop shoes and non-cushion shoes, but it could cause problems just as much as it corrects them. So it's not for everybody. So yeah, as I say, it's only my opinion, and it's good to have discussions about this, and it probably will benefit some people walking in zero drop non-cushion shoes and things like that. But personally, I wouldn't go anywhere near them because I don't think they would be right for me. I think, but there we go.
Well, you've just bought yourself another week of advertising because you've mentioned them so much.
I know, yeah, I know. But the other thing I did want to mention is a couple of comments about your quiz from last week. So Mark G said the Gary Barlow hint was a classic, and my favourite comment was Kieran Turner, who has put another fun podcast, fellas. Enjoyed listening whilst chilling with a nice cuppa and a pack of Gary Barlows.
I was just on that. I know Kieran is doing Brighton and London in April.
He's doing both.
He's doing them both for charity. Oh, as part of a charity, and he's had a rocky couple of weeks because he's been struck down with a virus or some sort of, don't know what it is. I don't think he even knows what it is, but he's been down in the dumps, and he's just got back out running for the first time in 2 weeks. So we just want to say, K-Dog, hang in there. You're going to be fine. Yeah. We got you. You got this.
You've done the hard work now. Yeah. Kieran, you've done the hard work. It's just getting through those 2 races now. All the training's done. There's nothing else you can do. Missing out on a few runs isn't really going to change the race now at all. You've got this. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and basically, I think he's faking it. I think it's taper flu, to be honest. I think he's fine.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in all seriousness, mate, I hope you're feeling better, and I'm sure you'll smash Brighton. And the good thing is about maybe coming back into it, you could I think he was using Brighton as the goal race and London as the let's go and enjoy it. But maybe it's switched now. Maybe it's Brighton, to try and test the water and just get through it. And then you've got another 3 weeks then to London. So, swings and roundabouts. It's every cloud and all that. And maybe having two marathons in a month.
I don't think it's 3 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks between Brighton and London.
2. Oh, it is 2, isn't it? Yeah, because it's the...
Brighton's the week before Manchester and London's the week after.
Yeah, so it's you're right. It's 2 weeks, isn't it? But I think you'll do well, mate. Kieran's a really good runner, and I know he'll pull it out of the bag. And you'll have a good time. So on that note, we've had an email from Jack. Jack has written in, and I'll try and sort of sort of keep this brief. He says he's training for Manchester full-time, but he's lost all confidence in his running abilities after a few too many sessions or long runs that have not gone to plan. I've been trying to be kinder to myself by dropping mileage and trying to remove expectations, but I also know myself, and I know that I'm not going to completely be able to do that. Have either of you gone through a similar experience where you've been building up to a race, but going into it, knowing that you're nowhere near where you expected to be, and not even sure whether you'll be able to even finish the race at this point? All the best for Newport and Manchester, Jack. So, yeah, I think for me, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've completely felt like it's game over. I have, however, gone into a race thinking I am so underprepared for this because I haven't done enough. Like, for example, the race I did just before Christmas in Hereford, the day before it or 2 days before it, I tried to do 1 kilometre or 2 kilometres at race pace, and I couldn't even do it. And I'd already talked myself out of a good race to the point that I got to the race, started towards the back, and thought, let's just have a jog around and let's just try and finish. Ended up getting a PB. I don't know what happened to me. I just was in a bad mental place and physical place when I did that run and carried that through to race day. But as soon as the equivalent of the referee blowing the whistle for a football match, as soon as the gun went off, it's like the switch just switched.
Yeah, race mode turns on.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to just tap into that belief that, yes, I've got 4 years worth of running behind me, not just the last week of bad runs. Like, I'm not an experienced runner, but I guess I kind of am because I've got 4 years of it. But I'm now sort of long enough in the tooth, 4 years long enough in the tooth to know it's just running. It's just a bit of fun. So let's just go out and have a bit of fun and let's just see what happens. And because I kind of the shackles were off, I just went and enjoyed it and I got a good result.
Yeah, you've also got to remember that your body has muscle memory. It knows what you're going to do and what you're going to put your body through, and it remembers how your body feels at different points of different races and different lengths of run and things like that. I know in the past, when I first started running, I had several of the marathons I went into, I wasn't prepared at all. I didn't feel confident, but got through it. No matter what happens, if I cross that start line, I'm going to cross that finish line. Whether I have a good race or a bad race, I'm always going to finish. And that's always a good way to think about it. Is it doesn't matter really, as long as you finish. That's all that matters. But I know that I can't pinpoint an exact race, but I have had training where it's gone awful and I don't feel prepared in any way at all. I feel like everything's gone wrong and I've had a fantastic race. And then I've also had training where I'm 100% up for it. I feel great. I'm going to go for it and have an awful race. So it's not always the way you feel. It's, as you say, when you set off from that start line, race mode clicks in and you may feel completely awful and not prepared, but in your mind, there is that switch that flicks and all of a sudden you're in race.
Yeah. And I think in terms of your training, if it's literally getting you down, if clock watching and running to pace and not hitting those paces is really getting you down, then maybe think about just slightly changing the way you train. Maybe think about running to effort rather than the clock, or running to pace.
That was exactly what I was going to say. Just leave your watch at home for a run. Go for a run, and or change the watch face. Just change the face on your watch to time of the day. So it's just like a watch, and start your watch, go out for a run. Don't even look at how far you've run. Don't look at the times you're running. Just go and run to feel. So you're enjoying yourself again, and you're enjoying running again, because there is so much pressure on people now to run the right paces, and you know what you want to be running. And if you're not hitting those, it can really affect you whilst you're out on your run. But if you think of back in the day when people didn't have those watches, I've heard stories of people, and when they used to go out running for like their training sessions, they didn't know how quickly they were running per mile or how far. They just knew a route that they run, and what they would do is they'd look at the clock in their kitchen when they left the house. They'd go and run their route, get back, have a look at the clock and see how much time had gone, and gone, oh, okay, I ran it in that amount of time. And then the next time they'd do exactly the same. Oh, I've done it quicker, or I've done it slower. So sometimes this technology, although it's brilliant and helps us, it can be a hindrance and can be really, it can affect us mentally because it can bring us down, when really we should be enjoying it. It's a hobby. Running is our hobby. It's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. And if we're not having fun, there's no point in doing it. So if all of this data is starting to get you down, try and get away from the data for a bit and just get back to the grassroots of enjoying running and doing it for the whole reason you do it in the first place.
Here's an analogy, right? You know how you could say that a roast dinner is the king of dinners? Well, you could say that the Christmas dinner is the king of Christmas, is the king of roast dinners.
Christmas dinner is the king of Christmas dinners.
No, so roast dinners. I've actually stolen this from Ricky Gervais, right? He said this, right? Roast dinners is the king of dinners, and a Christmas dinner is the king of roast dinners. So think about that in terms of your running. So you love your running, you love your roast dinners, but your race day is your Christmas dinner. So don't let any expectation or any weight of anxiety try and spoil that Christmas dinner. Remember what a celebration the race is. And don't
let the crap Toby Carvery you had last week make you think that Christmas dinner isn't going to be amazing.
Exactly, because remember, Christmas dinner, there's no dinner like it.
No.
And you can take as long as you want to eat it, and you can go back to for seconds. You can stay there all day.
Yeah.
But for me, what I like to do is, sort of touched on this earlier, is I'll just take myself up the hills, or I'll go out with a dog, or we'll go out for a run round the trails, the local trails. And I run styles of runs where pace doesn't matter. Not that it matters ever anyway, but I know that I can't really measure my pace running up hills compared to because there is a weight of expectation, and there are certain people have, it's unfortunate for certain people that anxiety really, really crushes them, and they're almost victims of their own targets and goals and expectations. And like you said, it's a hobby. Just remember why you do it. Remember why you love it. And Jack, you're going to smash Manchester, mate. Yes. You're going to smash it.
Yes, you are.
You're going to have the best time.
Yeah. If you do see me up there, Jack, come and say hello and tell me how well you ran that race.
That sounds like a plan. Go and find Brett. Tell him that you smashed it. That sounds like a plan. And while we're on the subject of running, I would like to wish my wife Laura good luck, because she's running a 10K on Sunday, first race of the year for her, and first race in 6 or 7 months, and she's doing a 10K. She's shitting herself just like you are, Jack, to be honest, mate.
Yeah.
But I know her.
Isn't this her first 10K race without you running with her as well?
Yeah. So we've always run park runs, and she's never run on her own. And she's even when we did a race a few years ago together where she did run on her own in Metz, but at least we started the race together. She's worried about everything from pre-race anxiety to knowing where to do bag drops. So she's got to navigate all this stuff on her own. But the thing is about a race, you're never on your own. You're never on your own, are you? Because there's so many people and you're all running the same direction. And it's a beautiful thing. And so, I just personally like to wish my wife Laura good luck, because I know she'll do really well.
Best of luck, Laura. You're going to absolutely smash it.
Yeah. So finish lines, not finish times. Well, that brings us on nicely. I know I'm looking at the clock, and I know everyone's going, oh, for God's sake. It's time for Brett's End of the Podcast quiz, the Easter special. So you have got, again, everyone's going to go, oh, I'll make this quick. You've got 10 questions because it's an 10? Easter special. 10, but there's no connection. There's no connection.
Oh, okay, cool.
Some of them are multiple choice.
Is the connection Easter?
The connection is Easter. See if you can get the connection. Right. So, see if you can get these. In 1873, the first ever chocolate Easter egg was made, but in which country?
I'm going to go for Switzerland because of Swiss chocolate.
That is incorrect. It was here in the UK.
Oh, really?
In Bristol.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
A company called Fry's. Yeah.
Fry's. They make a lovely mint cream.
You're familiar with Fry's?
And they also make Turkish Delight. Do you know the chocolate-covered Turkish Delight?
Never had it.
What? Oh, man.
Yeah, never had it. Never had it.
There we go. There's a top-tier chocolate bar. Fry's Turkish Delight.
Okay, right. Sounds like a challenge. We could have a podcast. Well, as soon as we've got our marathons done, we'll have an eating chocolate-based podcast where we just try 40 quid's worth of chocolate bars and be sick at the end. Right. Question 3. No, 2.
I was going to say, it's number 2 now.
We're only on number 2. God, sorry. It's about 2 minutes per question. We should be done by about 11:30 tonight. All right, here we go. In which country did the legend of the Easter Bunny begin?
Which country?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Germany.
You would be correct. It was the Germans. Yes, they went over to America. They settled over in America, and they brought the legend. But it actually was a hare, and apparently it's a symbol of fertility and spring. Oh. But it was more marketable to be a bunny, so that's why it's a bunny. Is the largest question 3? Go on.
Before you do question 3, I'm just going to have to change over from my AirPods, which are about to die any second.
Okay.
Back to normal, just to my computer.
Right, you're muted. Can you hear me? No, he's gone mute.
Right, can you hear me now?
There we go. Yes. Here he is.
Good. Let's go for it.
Right. Okay. Question 3 is the largest. That's how long these quizzes are becoming. AirPods are running out of battery. Is the largest Easter egg ever made bigger or smaller than an average-sized giraffe?
Including neck and head, or just body?
Yes, including neck and head. Yeah.
Well, the fact that you've used giraffe, and that's so comical. I'm going to go bigger because of just a silly question.
Well, the average size of a giraffe is 5 meters, but this one was 10.4 meters. And it was in Italy. And I've seen a picture of it. Google biggest ever Easter egg. Massive. It's ridiculous. It's in Italy. 10.5 meters high. What kind of bird delivers eggs to children in Switzerland? Like, because they don't have the Easter bunny. So what's their legend?
It's not going to be a stork because that's babies.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shall I give you a clue?
Yeah, go on.
It's named after the noise it makes.
A crow?
No. The crows make the sound crow. Growl.
I don't know.
I thought it's more of a caw, personally.
Yeah, that's the first thing that came into my head. I don't know.
The answer is a cuckoo.
Ah. yes.
This is a good one. You might never have considered this. Question 5. How is Easter decided every year? Why does the date change?
Because it's got to be Good Friday and Easter Monday. So it's got to fall across.
But why is Good Friday sometimes in late April? This time it's in 20-something of March.
Oh, yeah. Is it something to do with the British summertime, like clocks going forward and all that sort of stuff?
Not far away. Any advances on that?
No.
It is the first Sunday, so Easter Sunday is the first Sunday after the first full moon on or after the spring equinox.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it can be as late as April sometimes. I like this one. Children in Finland dress as what at Easter? I'll give you a clue. It's not bunnies. Just think Scandinavians, they just do shit differently. They're brilliant. So just remember that.
Dress as I don't know, goblins.
It's not far away. Witches.
Witches?
Yeah. This is epic, isn't it? I want to go to Finland for Easter, man.
That's brilliant. It's like Halloween at Easter.
Yeah, yeah. How is your biblical knowledge?
Not very good.
Okay. In the Bible, Judas traded Jesus in exchange for what? Because, you know, obviously Judas grasped up Jesus.
Yeah. I know he went and kissed him on the cheek, didn't he, to show who he was?
No, I think, wasn't that Peter?
Was it? Oh, that's how good my Bible knowledge is.
Wasn't it Peter that denied him 3 times? No, I deny.
Yeah,
and then he had to kiss to identify him.
Oh,
and
okay.
Jesus is like, why? And Jesus is like, why have you just kissed me in the middle of a, no reason. I just wanted to kiss you. See you later. Why are those people coming towards me with handcuffs? Don't know, mate. See you later.
I don't know. Judas dobbed him in for a lint gold money.
Oh, well, not far off, actually, in the end. It was 30 pieces of silver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Question 8. How many Easter eggs are eaten in the UK each year?
What's population of the UK?
70 million.
Yeah, so I'm going to go at least 3 each. So let's go 200 million.
Well, I see your logic, but it's 80 million. I guess because it's a Christian thing, isn't it? And there's not everyone's a Christian.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone's got. Some people have got savoury tooth like me. So I just have a Domino's. When was the first Cadbury's cream egg sold? You'll like the next question as well. Question 10. That's the last one.
First Cadbury's cream egg. I'm going to go that it was a 70s thing. And I'm going to go 75.
71. You weren't far off. You were not far off.
Can you remember a while back as well when there was a load of people trying to say that it was Cadbury's creme egg because of the way cream is spelled? And I was like, no, the adverts actually say Cadbury's cream egg. So why would it be creme?
No,
get out.
Don't stop trying to. No, we don't want your French pronunciations around here. It's the same with Krispy Kreme. Do you say Krispy Kreme or Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, Krispy Kreme, yeah.
Yeah, Krispy Kreme. That's not right. That's just wrong. That is wrong. So the last question. In question 10. In Germany, up to a €10,000 fine can be issued on Good Friday in most states for doing what? So what it is illegal to do on Good Friday and no other day, but only Good Friday.
In Germany?
Yeah.
Is that got anything to do with it?
It's to do loosely with religion.
But is it specific to Germany?
Yes, just Germany.
Yeah, but is the reason German or?
Well, no, I've written it down in English. I don't I don't speak Deutsch.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Nein. No, the reason is a valid reason that you could potentially think of. So it's something I'll give you a clue. It's something that can be viewed as disrespectful. So what could be, you could be given up to a €10,000 fine, and it's specific to 12 out of the 16 states. It is illegal in Germany, in particular the south and more heavily Christian areas of Germany, like Bavaria, Munich, down that way. So if you're caught doing this, you can be given a fine. So today, this thing is not happening, right? Because it's Good Friday today.
I really don't know.
Should I tell you?
Go on then.
Dancing.
What?
You cannot dance in Germany on Good Friday.
But
you can be fined.
What about
live music as well?
What about all the people in the beer kellers dancing to the umpire band?
They have to sit down. Sit down. 9 dancing. 9
line dancing.
No, that's different. Yeah.
Dosey
9 line dancing. So yeah, dancing and live musical performances are banned.
Wow.
Out of respect. In southern states in Germany, so Bavaria, apparently they're not even allowed background music in certain bars.
Wow. That's
so the bars are open, but yeah, you have to be respectful on Good Friday. So if you're in Germany around Easter time, just remember not to break out into the Macarena. Or
that's mental. I wouldn't have expected that at all.
So apparently it's up to 10,000, but yeah, the majority of people can be fined up to €1,000 for dancing.
Wow.
I know. So yeah, crazy. But that's the end of the podcast. What are we at? 150. This could be a PB, mate. This could be a
PB. Right. So yeah, we shall leave it there. I hope everybody has a great Easter break and fills bellies with as much chocolate as possible. I am going to be indulging myself. I know that much. And I'm sure Andy will too.
Yep.
So have a great break, and thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Cheers, guys.
Auf Wiedersehen.